Hi, welcome to the first episode of the Teacup Trail. I'm Joanna, and I am so excited to do this with you guys. And today in my teacup, I just have cold water. It has been really hot this week in New England, so I'm just trying to keep myself hydrated. So we're going to start with season 6, episode 2. This is the episode when Bouchard comes into Hope Valley for the first time.
In a mood all week. This wouldn't have anything to do with you losing out on the saloon, would it?
Well, you have to admit it's a bit peculiar. This guy just swoops in out of nowhere. And how would he even know the saloon's for sale?
And he bought it sight unseen?
Now this mystery man owns one of Hope Valley's largest establishments.
And who knows what he's going to do with it?
Someone should have looked into this man before the sale was allowed to go through.
Florence, Tom was free to sell to whomever he wished. Thank you.
I couldn't help it over here. This new saloon owner sounds like a rogue and a scoundrel, and I, for one, think a tar and feathering might be in order.
You wouldn't happen to be this new owner by any chance?
Lucas Bouchard, at your service.
It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Bouchard.
Likewise. I'm afraid you have me at a disadvantage.
Abigail Stanton.
The Abigail of cafe fame.
One and the same.
Lucas Bouchard.
Bill Avery, Sheriff. Bill Avery.
Always good to get off on the right foot with local law enforcement.
I agree. So where do you hail from, Mr. Bouchard?
The previous owner, he left pretty quickly, and, well, frankly, he didn't tell us much about you.
There's not much to tell, really. I'm a bit of a tumbleweed.
From?
Here and there.
How did you hear about the saloon?
Well, I always keep an eye open for good investment opportunities.
So you're a businessman?
Among other things. Mrs. Stanton, thank you for an excellent breakfast. And by the way, as one business owner to another, how is the local mayor to work with?
Well, I think you will find her to be a very reasonable person.
Well, touche, Madam Mayor. I trust we'll be seeing a lot of each other.
You can count on it.
If you'll excuse me, I have to get back to my saloon. I have a grand opening to plan. Friday evening, the whole town is invited.
Well, I'm guessing your eggs won't be tasting better anytime soon.
There you have it, the epic introduction of Lucas Bouchard. I have to say quickly though, Hallmark Channel definitely found a great gem in Chris Manali, and he had been really great playing Lucas. And in those scenes, I have to say a few important details. Lucas bought the saloon for $10,000, which is quite a lot in those days. And he's an outsider, and he just randomly picked one of the biggest businesses in Hope Valley, the saloon. Being Lucas, you have to keep in mind that he's stepping into this new town with a bad reputation and a bad image created by the residents of Hope Valley. I mean, Bill, Abigail, Florence, and Molly in that cafe scene, they literally talk bad gossip about him, literally in front of him. So that created uncomfortableness for Lucas, and it definitely created pressure for him. He definitely feels it, and he's tried to break the ice when Abigail dropped a coin and he showed one of his magician trick. So he definitely stepping on the wrong foot coming into Hope Valley, and it definitely raises question among the residents of Hope Valley of who Lucas really is, and if he really going to keep the saloon, or is he going to tear it down and build something new. It's really important as a viewer to keep that in mind. So we will take a look at the next scene, and I think this is really important as well to show what Lucas really bringing into Hope Valley, considering his reputation.
Think that's the new owner? Well, he carries himself like he's got deep pockets.
I wish he'd have got it, Henry.
Well, something else come along.
Always does. Shall we?
Yeah.
Lee, Jesse, and Henry observing Lucas being the new saloon owner. I'd like to point out that Lee and Henry are businessmen and they already have a strong, solid reputation as businessmen. And Lucas going to Hope Valley is definitely bring a competitive edge. Lucas is like the new player on the team in the world of business in Hope Valley. And I also want to point out that when Lucas entered inside the saloon, it definitely showed the saloon as dark, empty, very quiet. It's like dead. And in that moment, me as a viewer, I think that Lucas has a good plan for the saloon, and he definitely wanted to bring something good to Hope Valley.
Shrimp, caviar, that's pretty fancy stuff.
For the grand opening, everything's on the house. I hope you'll be able to attend, Mr.
Free?
Mr. Free.
No, it's Yost.
I will be there.
Hello,
Lucas Bouchard, saloon proprietor.
Fiona Miller. I operate the telephone switchboard.
You're a handy person to know.
Actually, I'm not sure how long I'll be here. The telephone company sent me to get everything up and running. I'm based in San Francisco.
San Francisco. I hear that's a wonderful town.
I think so, but then I was born and raised there. Never been?
Forgive me, Ms. Miller. I really should be going. Masses to do. Hope to see you at the opening Friday night.
Perhaps.
Mr. Yost.
I wanted to show this scene. It definitely brings out more question about who Lucas is, what happened in San Francisco, and I feel like in Hope Valley, San Francisco is mentioned a lot. So definitely, probably there's a possibility that Lucas did stay in San Francisco for some time before going to Hope Valley. And I also want to point out before moving on is that I'm doing these scenes in order of the entire episode. Also, second of all, rewatching this, I try to have a point of view as a first time watching it, so we can have a better perspective and fresh eyes watching these scenes along the way. So, what is going on in San Francisco? Let's see if we ever find out.
To be neighborly.
Well, that is very kind of you. But I think everything is under control.
That's good. I hear you mentioning something about a new oven?
I've hired a chef to expand the menu. I think the good people of Hope Valley deserve some fine cuisine. Wouldn't you agree?
And there's fine cuisine at Abigail's.
The town is growing, and surely there's room for more than one restaurant.
How long you been in the restaurant business, Mr. Bouchard?
Actually, I'm fairly new at it.
What did you do before then?
This and that.
This and that, here and there. Not big on details, are you?
Now and then.
New Orleans. Is that where you're from?
I've spent time there. Look, Sheriff, I don't mean to be inhospitable, but I have a lot of work to do to get this place ready for the opening.
Well, I'll be interested to see what you do with the place. Assuming I'm invited.
Of course you are. Come one, come all.
Definitely see Bill continuing to chase after Lucas. Bill had the first impression of Lucas of, I don't trust you, I have a question for you. right off the bat, and Lucas at the same time is busy and focused on trying to get the saloon ready for the grand opening. Bill is the sheriff. He's like the closest thing to a Mountie. He's very protective of Hope Valley. I don't blame him. But on the other hand, Lucas is very, very, very reserved, and he's stepping into Hope Valley with this sheriff coming at him, trying to get answers from him, and Lucas really don't have time for that. He really focused on just the saloon, and he trying to navigate through the waters of Hope Valley, trying to find a solid ground to be a good citizen of Hope Valley. It's really funny to see Bill chasing Lucas throughout this episode. Bill is just very determined and very ambitious and trying to find answers about who Lucas really is, and most likely to try to find a bad thing about Lucas.
Morning, ladies. Careful with that big one. It's fragile. Morning, miss. You're gonna apply, I hope?
That depends. What's the position?
Waitress.
I see. And the qualifications?
Intelligence, independence, personality. I'd say you're perfect.
You don't even know me.
I can read people. It's what I do.
Well, I prefer reading books.
See? You're intelligent. I knew it. So, what about it?
Well, what if I turn out to be a clumsy oaf who spills beer everywhere?
I refuse to believe that that is possible. The job is yours if you want it.
It's a very tempting offer, but... Hi, Mrs. Thornton. Hi, boys. I'll see you at school.
You're the school teacher. And it's Mrs., not Miss.
Correct. On both counts.
Hi, baby.
It's the baby.
My son, yes. I'm Elizabeth Thornton, and this is my nanny, Laura.
Hello.
It's nice to meet you, Laura. Mrs. Thornton. I'm Lucas Bouchard.
So what's all this?
Oh, just making a few improvements to the place. You can see for yourself at the grand opening.
I'll try to make it.
Unless you're reading a good book.
Whether you like Lucas or not, that scene was very unique and very special in a way of meeting someone new. I think it was definitely a possible beginning of a friendship between Elizabeth and Lucas, and the most important point that I want to make about Lucas in this scene is that he was very open and very friendly with Elizabeth. In other scenes throughout this episode, Lucas was very reserved and very protective of who he is and what he's doing in Hope Valley. Lucas was definitely intrigued by Elizabeth before realizing that Elizabeth is married and does have a son, but he doesn't know the whole story about Jack yet. But again, this was a very unique introduction of a new friendship between Elizabeth and Lucas, and it's definitely the most lighthearted scene of Lucas in this entire episode.
You probably know me by my stage name, Rosemary Laveau.
I can't say that I do.
Well, you're obviously not from New York.
Obviously.
Parlez-vous français, Monsieur Bouchard?
I'm afraid the only thing French about me is my name. Et vous?
Un petit peu.
Bonjour, ma chère. Tu avais raison. Cet endroit est parfait.
S'il te plaît, envoie le paquet par le train de demain matin.
I want to show you the Teacup scene because it definitely adds to the mysterious vibe of Lucas in the beginning of season 6, and it's definitely something that he does know how to speak French, but he really doesn't want to give it away because it's very personal to him, and he probably doesn't want to raise more questions from the residents of Hope Valley, and he doesn't want people to start asking more questions like, oh, how do you know French? And maybe Fiona or Bill probably would start thinking in their heads like, oh, any cities or countries that speak French that possibly be where Lucas is from. So it's definitely a little white lie mystery game going on there with Lucas and his French background. So I'm gonna end on here. I hope you enjoyed it. Any thoughts, comment them below. Please be nice to each other and to me and to the show. I'm willing to be vulnerable, sharing my thoughts and opinions on these episodes, and please in return just be nice to each other. For the Team Nathan, I will still be honest and fair to you guys. Since we're doing a background check on Lucas right now in this episode, I would definitely do a background check on Nathan when he comes to Hope Valley for the first time. I think it's really important to have a foundation set up for these two guys before moving forward with the love triangle. And I hope you guys stick around throughout this series, and I'm really having fun right now, and I hope you too. So see you next time. Bye.